DJ and PK. BYU loses at Arizona last night. Anthony Del Orso, who was averaging 8 points a game, scored a season-high 22 points. And Arizona beats BYU. Is that another blown opportunity for the Cougars? Or you can look at that game and think, they're figuring stuff out. This is going to work in these final 5 games.
I think the thing that they're figuring out is AJ will have to ice his right arm and elbow and wrists after every game because he needs to get as many FGAs as possible.
40 shots for AJ. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, him and Wright obviously have to carry it. I do think that if I'm looking for reasons of hope, I think Kennard Davis, we can see more of him, integrate him more into the offense, play him more. You're going with DeBonsa and Wright. They combine to sit 3 total minutes, 2 for Wright, 1 for AJ, and it's probably not even that because you look at the box score and everything's a round number. And I would play Kennard Davis till he can't go anymore either, and continue to push these other dudes to see if you can get something out of them. And Keita did what he can do: 9 boards, 4 blocks, half of 4 offensive rebounds. He only 4 points, but he only takes 3 shots. So I don't know that you can get more out of him. Right? I think that type of defensive effort, he was a presence. You'll take that.
He was rewarded in playing time. That playing time between him and Ahmed has been split pretty much down the middle, but not in this game. He got 3 quarters of playing time, and Ahmed got 1 quarter instead of going half and half.
And I think the Cougars benefited a little bit from Pete being out because he's another big body, and of the big bodies that they have, he's the best. So I think that for Arizona's sake, the reason why I don't feel awful for BYU, it's not a doom and gloom. They're not going to get Del Orso to score 22 very many times going forward. That was, you talk about role players at home. He's at home.
Yep.
The crowd of old people were cheering him on, and he had the game of his life. If that's what it takes for you to win, you're going to be in trouble.
And Arizona will probably be in trouble at Houston on Saturday.
We'll see if Pete plays.
See if he's back.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what his status would be.
Vernon says the Cougars had many opportunities at the end to close the gap. They only have AJ, and they need more players to step up. I felt Robert Wright Jr. had a poor game as well.
Well, relative to what he's been doing, he certainly had an off game. There's no question about that. Yeah. And the thing that bugs me is that they let guys who have no business doing what they do go off and get all sorts of confidence, and the hoop looks twice the size. He comes down, and they've got a little bit of a fast break going, and the 2 BYU defenders part like the Red Sea, and he goes right for a dunk. Can you guys put some resistance out there? Do you always have to wait till the last 5 minutes?
You would like to know in that moment, how old were they the first time a coach told them, stop the ball?
Yeah.
Because my guess is they were in grade school.
And then right at 0.8 of a second at the end of the first half, he gets a freaking wide open 3. Wide open. He's hot. He's got more confidence in the college game than he's ever had in his life. And nobody marks him. Nobody guards him. And he gets a wide-open 3 right in front of your bench when you should have 50 guys screaming in all those gray pullovers. Guard the guy!
So all of the Cougar fans who are on social media who have coached youth basketball went crazy on that, and they made 2 excellent points, actually, for all the negativity out there on social media. One of them had the video of a guy, I can't remember who the defender was.
It was Diamande.
He got held.
He got held.
There
was a pin down screen, the guy grabbed his arm.
And the answer was a great follow-up from a Cougar fan. It was like, it shouldn't matter that he got held because they should be switching everything in that moment anyway because you got to anticipate they're going to get held. But he was trying to fight through screens. They weren't switching everything. So Cougar fans were having at it during halftime. They were entertaining themselves, and
That was
angst.
so frustrating because it could have been 4.
Yes.
Instead, it's 7. They got all the mo.
The momentum, the mindset, the crowd erupted. Like, we're going to do this when that shot went in.
Right. And it
had been so close in the first half.
Back and forth.
Right.
Go in with a 4-point deficit. You're
Feeling
fine.
like it's a toss-up.
Yeah.
And then at 7, it felt like, it is crazy as one shot, but it felt like there was a hill to climb.
And then the third play, an inbounds pass, they try to throw it out, and it's picked off for an easy layup. Can you come up with an inbounds play? I don't need you to score off an inbound play, but how about getting the ball inbounds? You got 14 guys in great pullovers. Can somebody draw up a play?
Okay. I'm with 80% of the way there, but no, run it for points. People running inbounds for points all the time. Well, one of the 14 must know how to do it. You can
Just
always
get the
watch
ball
game
in
film
and give it to AJ and get the crap out of the way.
You can tell one of the 14
That's my
people
play.
to watch game. Well, that's not a bad play. There's but also you can tell if you get 14 people, like one of them, all you do is watch it just like rip off 5 good inbounds plays that you watch other games and they work. Whatever your favorite is.
I just want the ball in bounds. I want a low standard.
That's a low bar. It is a low bar, but it's better than what they're getting, which is turnovers off
and
then
inbounds passes. You set a screen and hold somebody then.
Just call Jeff Judkins. He's got like 20 plays lying around. He could just send them down.
I'm not going to call Jeff Judkins and ask him for an inbounds play. No.
Going to watch the video and do it on your own?
No. They need to do it. I'm here to second guess.
Yeah.
My job is to second guess, not first guess.
Yeah.
I'm not getting $4.5 million.
Ken is all done. He is doom and gloom. This experiment has failed. Let's start over. Now, he doesn't explain that. I'm like, well, Ken, like with this group of players, or are you talking like the NIL experiment has failed?
Well, I think what Kevin Young has, and I've got zero problem with this, is that he has said he's going after the top players. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. Do that, and AJ is a top player. No doubt about it. And Rob Wright's really good. Totally fine with that. But then don't go after all of them because you're not going to get them all. And you don't want to be left short and then fill your roster with a bunch of guys who aren't very good. And unfortunately, that's looking like what they've got. They got the top end, and even with Saunders, it was a problem. Obviously, without Richie, it's compounded. But get some of these LDS kids and convince them, you'll have a role here. Mm-hmm. You are important. You can go there and get more FGAs. You can go across the country, but come here and you'll have a role. And then have them talk to the guys that Dave Rose, the Noah Hartsocks of the world, who were never stars, but played a significant factor in the team winning. And then, especially if you're local, then all these business opportunities, you don't have to go live in South Carolina or Virginia. Nope. You could be here and help us.
And they got
don't overlook these dudes.
They got the perfect guy in house for that. Travis Hansen went to Mountain View. Didn't he go to your school, Yak? He went to Mountain View. He went to UVU for a year. He played at BYU for 3. He's got a job in Utah County. He has companies in Utah County.
He was a star, though.
He was a star. He ended up being a star, but I don't know that people knew he was going to be a star.
I don't know.
And he made some money in the NBA, but he made a ton of money playing overseas.
And now he's like the team president, for lack of a better term, for BYU Athletics.
Yeah.
But to your point, like that's Travis's one story. You could get 10 different stories. They could have 10 different players of different levels of glory in their time at BYU.
So don't shoot for every top 50 guy.
But guys 5 through 8.
Yeah.
You're gonna
and that's where I think the LDS talent is available in those slots if you're augmented by the stars at the top.
And maybe some of them you bring in as freshmen, but some of them you keep tracking because they go somewhere else and maybe you bring them back after a year or 2 or 3. And you tell them that when you're recruiting them. Hey, it's not over. This is college basketball. It's never over. We will watch you at fill-in-the-blank school. And in a year or 2, you could be coming back.
System right down the street in UVU.
UVU is an excellent example.
Yeah. So there's 3 or 4 guys out there that could really have helped this team. And I'm not putting it all on BYU for not getting him because I don't know all the particulars. There's a couple of guys I've investigated, and I was told that BYU didn't show them enough love, so they went elsewhere. And I believe those guys could help.
There's a chance that some of those players would not be enthralled with being the first or second or third guy off the bench. They'll probably going forward. There'll always be people who, even if they make the appeal and show them the love, it's like, yeah, I don't think my role there is going to be big enough. I don't think my NIL money there is going to be big enough. But if off the top of our heads, you and I can identify 3 or 4 guys, I'll bet people who are diving deeper into it can find 6, 8, or 10 guys. And they only need a few of them. They don't need them all.
But as far as this season, I still think they can get to the Sweet 16. Because you can step back and say some role player from Australia had the game of his life, and that's what beat you.
Right. And it was a true road game, and obviously you're going to get the postseason, play neutral court, and maybe that'll help you out. So really, I think it's like, what can you take from that game that gets you ready for Iowa State? Because if you get a win over Iowa State, you're going to feel great. I mean, going into this, they would have said if you split these 2 games, we feel great, and everybody would have felt great.
Well, yeah, and now Texas Tech's best player is out. Toppin, unfortunate. ACL, same thing.
Yeah.
Basically non-contact, a little more contact than Richie had, but not a whole lot.
Not much.
No, and he goes down. It's like, I've seen this. We've seen this. So with Joe Ingles, he's going up for a layup against, I think it was against Minnesota, and he goes down, and he's done. And so this is the sucky side of the sport, is that these things happen. So the point being that when Tech comes in here in 2.5 weeks, you got an opportunity to win that game. And so we'll see what happens. Maybe they really only have one opportunity to beat a big-time ranked team, because if they beat Tech at home, they didn't have Toppin and blah, blah, blah. But still. Yeah, what do you got? 5 games to go.
The Big 12,
I think you can win all 5 of them.
The Big 12 has enough respect, though. I could see the discussion. They beat Tech, they have Toppin. Yeah, well, they didn't have Saunders. 2 shorthand teams, and they gutted it out and won it. I could see that discussion. That discussion happening in the committee room.
Yeah, good enough for me.
But you're right about the Iowa State. If they can win that game, on paper, it definitely looks like the toughest of the 5. Not to discount, there's going to be a lot of travel here, going to Cincinnati. Utah just won at West Virginia. So.
But that's going to be hard.
I agree it's going to be hard.
But you got to do it. You win both those games. I think they can finish it off right, the regular season. I have enough faith in the coaches and the players to do that. And I think now they're gonna play with more of an edge, because they didn't get blown out.
No, it was a competitive game. Again, They made a run. I mean, part of the thing is, guys, and it's tough to ask people to do this forever, right? But you put a ton of energy in the last 5 minutes, and look at the results you got. You were down big to Arizona, again, not quite as big as you were at home. You rallied again. You didn't get quite as close as you got at home, but you got close. I mean, you could feel the nervousness in the crowd, like, this isn't over. There's still time.
Oh, pacemakers in that crowd?
They were working.
Yeah, they were. Those snowbirds.
Let's keep Grandma and Grandpa on track here.
That buy U of A season tickets.
Got their money's worth out of those pacemakers. Yeah.
Yes.
Solid investment.
Yes.
The stress was building in that arena.
It was. There's no question about it.
But back to your point about inbounds passes, they're making that run. What a setback with that turnover and an easy bucket. That was just such a soft giveaway. But they didn't fold at that point. They still came back and tightened it up some more. So there's obviously stuff they can look at the film and, well, we can do better than that. You can absolutely woulda, coulda, shoulda a 7-point game. Look at this possession. Look at that possession.
Yeah, and beating Iowa State's going to be a tall task, but it would also be awesome if you accomplished it, because Iowa State, we just saw what they did Monday.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were just sitting here reading the thing, all those scores about 6 ranked teams going on the road and losing in conference, because it's hard.
Do you know Iowa State's Big 12 road schedule right now? Like their record right now in road games?
46-2.
Well, this season, not.
33-4.
They played every game on the road and then some. They're 3-3, so they're vulnerable on the road.
Well, with that guy's biceps, he's a tough guy. He tells him every game is a road.
Leave Otzelberger alone.
Yeah, that dude. He's at halftime. He's not talking to the team. He's doing curls. He's just lucky he came along in the era where you don't have to wear suits. You can wear the golf shirts.
Yeah. Put on the schmedium and really show them off, huh?
Yes.
Sun's out, guns out.
Right. You Stacy, he couldn't do
Iowa
that.
in the winter. What are you talking about? Sun's out.
So I think they have an opportunity here to do well. And now it is. And it is shocked the world because not only are most folks who don't root for you doubting you, a significant portion of your own fan base is doubting you.
With good reason. At this point, I got to say.
And Kevin
get
Young
your
talked
doubts.
about that, man. Guy's been a scrapper.
Yeah. So keep scrapping. You're
Yeah.
3-6 in your last 9, but if you beat Iowa State, now you can start trying to put a win streak together. And momentum is a funny thing. You have it until you don't, and you don't until you do. You talked about that forever. When we were first doing the show, you were talking about it in regard to BYU football because they'd had the 3 losing seasons, and they made a coaching change. And like when you're winning, you don't think it'll ever end. And when you're losing, you don't think you're ever going to get out of it. But then you look at sports across seasons, across 2 or 3 years, changes like the wind, man.
This is the most volatile sport that we are of our big time sports in the U.S. that we look at, and it's so unpredictable. I talked about BYU going into New Mexico under Coach Cleveland. Well, just the other day, Texas Tech beating the U of A in Tucson, sitting around, short drive up the freeway in a sterile atmosphere with the coach of a team who's dead man walking. He's got his job for another 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And the Devils beat him.
Go figure.
Yeah. Who would have bet that?
Power of the home court.
Well, I don't think that is the home court. There's
That's
no
just
atmosphere in there.
The flukiness and 20-year-olds are up and down, regardless how talented you are.
Now, they were down on top and got hurt, but that was toward the end of the game, and I believe the Devils had a double-digit lead right at that time.
He did play a lot in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, Saunders was the opening minute, but he played, I think, 32 minutes in the game.
Right.
But I think he is a guy who, they'll run out there 38 if they have to.
Certainly.
Like
yeah.
A.J. DeBonte.
And maybe he could have made a difference. But the point being is there's plenty of examples. And you got Iowa State coming in. This is a phenomenal opportunity for you. And you should be furious, man. Just sit around all day. This is a football game in a sense. They've got to sit around all day and watch the television and hear about all these other teams getting the run. The big game of the day is the Cats going down to play Houston, blah, blah, blah. So here's your opportunity to really show them, man.
Jonathan Taverneri, former BYU player, is
He's got something to say?
hard
No
to
way.
believe. I know, right? You're shocked, but it goes to your expectations. Would you live with this? Because this is what he lays out for BYU down the stretch. He's not unbeaten, but he says the Arizona loss was expected with or without Richie. He said, I still think BYU beats one of Iowa State and Texas Tech at home. A W against UCF at home, and then split West Virginia and Cincinnati on the road. That would be 3-2. Could you live with that? Would that be good enough? Or do you feel like they're getting into dangerous territory and the committee might slide them down into a 7-10, 8-9 game?
I don't see them sliding with
AJ?
He's such a big name.
He's such a big name. And to that point, ESPN on their main account, despite the loss, AJ dropped 35 points against number 4 Arizona, and they've clipped buckets together. It's just his highlight film, one after another.
Right. And we know where he made his announcement. Was on their shows, on their network. And I think pretty much everybody has soured on Darren Peterson.
He's just missing too many games.
And he's asking out of games.
Yeah.
AJ's not asking out of games.
18 minutes last night.
Last week when Young said, he was about to pass out, AJ comes in, hears about it, he said, no, I wasn't.
That quote, I think, is just between the player and coach. Like, I want you to play. You want to play, but you got to play at a certain level, and you're not there, and it must be because you're exhausted. And so they hashed out whatever that was. His rebound totals go up. He's playing hard at both ends of the floor, and he's out there for 39 minutes. The passing out, I just think the coach is making a point. Wasn't passing out. But you got to play harder. You can't coast through stretches of the game.
But the point is, he's not. No, I think he has to. He's got to pick his spots.
Okay, so the spots can't be competing for rebounds, especially at the defensive end.
Fine. But you're asking him now to play the whole game.
That is the.
If he can grab a blow actually on the floor, I'm okay with it. Because you're not coming out.
And meanwhile, the quotes on Peterson, we've had this happen more than a couple times. I didn't anticipate that tonight at all. I thought he was good to go. We only got 18 minutes out of him. That's disappointing because he could have had a really big night.
That's the most pronounced comment
that's Bill Self after the game.
has made all season.
Right.
And they're showing it right now on ESPN.
No, there it is. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, and we've all been monitoring this, that is the most critical publicly that Bill Self has said. And because now it's like, well, duh.
Yeah, I know. He looks like an idiot if he doesn't say something now.
Right.
But he's the coach. He's got to be careful what he says in public.
Yeah, I know.
Man,
but he's also Bill Self. That is virtually untouchable because he's had a few scandals that he's been able to skate by. And,
and he's still here.
Yeah.
Still coaching, still getting paid, still winning.
Right. And
that was win number 20 for those guys. They won at Oklahoma State, so.
Yeah, we'll see what Peterson does in March. If he's out there playing 33 minutes and they're in the Final Four, all will be forgiven.
What have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Coming up this morning in the 9 o'clock hour, Scotty G is going to join us, and we will look ahead to a big weekend at Nevada, and then they'll be at San Diego State middle of next week. Coming off 3 straight home wins here. They got a nice little streak going. Talk with Scotty G coming up at the top of the hour. And then we will talk Utah Mammoth hockey and Olympic Games with the U.S. women in the final and the U.S. men in the semifinals. So all of that's coming up at 9:30 with Cole Bagley, who covers the Mammoth. Stay with us, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is JJ and Alex. I got this.
Joining us on the program right now for Jazz Daily, he is the coach, Tim Lacombe. You can hear him, of course, pre, half, and post on your radio dial right here, the radio home of the Utah Jazz.
When you just look at it at face value, you're adding a 2-time All-Star Defensive Player of the Year, a guy that is on 5 attempts per night from 3, shooting 36%.
Wow.
Rebounding is low. It's always kind of been low. I'm hoping maybe Will can get to him like he got to Colin on tempo. It would have, a guy that was voted Defensive Player of the Year. He's blocking 3 shots a game back then. That alongside what I think is probably one of the up-and-coming dominant rim protectors. If Walker and the Jazz find common ground, you look at a team that's really big, but you also look at a team that's very long. This move allows Lowry to go to the 3, and he is an absolute cheat code at 3. It's pretty exciting to think about.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, we're going to call an audible right now. That's what we're going to do.
You see somebody coming up the line?
Yeah, I do. I see him walking up. We're brought to you by University of Utah Health. At University of Utah Health, hope is in our DNA. Learn more at uofuhealth.org. See a linebacker walking up the line. Let's talk football just for a minute. It's not a ton of football going on this time of year, but there's some things, and they are important things. The Big 12. Who are the big dogs in the Big 12? If you had to break the league into quarters, I think right now, it'd be pretty close to consensus. Utah,
so quarters
BYU,
is 4.
Yeah, 4 quarters, 16 teams. So I think the top group, if you said right now programs, not just season, and we don't know, there's so many transfers, right? But if you just said, I'll take Texas Tech, ASU, Utah, and BYU and make them my top 4. Well, you've got teams that were 1, 2, 3 last year. You got ASU, who previously won a conference championship and didn't fall that far, even though they had, quarterback health issues.
And receiver.
Is there another program, like Iowa State would have been a good argument, but they just lost their coach. So the program is going into a new phase. He'd been their guy, and Campbell had a really good run there, but he's at Penn State now.
Okay, well,
so I can't put Iowa State in that
group. Why would you put Utah in if you're using that logic?
You could. That's why, and I was going to say, argue with the 4. But what the team we're going to talk about is one of the 4, and it's not Utah. And you could. And maybe, I don't know, do you want to go TCU? Do you think Houston's on the way up? And maybe you want to put them in the top quarter of the league?
For
Houston
years, we always heard
schedule
the
this past year.
sleeping giant with the Devils, right?
Yeah.
Because of all the perceived advantages.
Yeah.
Whether they were advantages or not,
or whether they were canceled out by disadvantages that were never spoken about.
Right. And I think they were. I think Houston has that opportunity because they have the most fertile recruiting base locally of anybody.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody has that level of talent literally in the metropolitan area as Houston, and they had a phenomenal season.
Right.
So we'll see.
And they have a respected coach from other stops. So maybe you put Houston in and take Utah out because of coaching transition. I think
I'm not willing to take Utah out.
I think that Utah is probably in just because the perceived handoff is going to be so seamless. Now, it can't be completely seamless. There's a quote floating around about Kyle telling Morgan that, you're still going to – you've been prepped, but there's still a learning curve because you're doing it for the first time. Right.
Morgan acknowledges that.
And if that's why people want to squeeze Utah out of the top 4 –
Morgan did
it's arguable
podcast with David Pollack.
Mm-hmm. Is that where it came up?
And I listened to it.
Yeah.
And he acknowledges it. That there's stuff that it's and it was just so dramatic right from the start. Mm-hmm. Because not that they stole the coaches, but the coaches left. Virtually the entire offensive staff left. And Lewis Powell left. Am I missing anybody on defense? Outside of Powell, did anybody else go?
I think they kept one coach on offense and lost one coach on defense.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because Kyle kept the running backs coach.
Right.
And so Otway stayed.
Kept Otway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's a good recruiter and a good seller and all that. Brings a lot of energy to the program, always has, no matter where he's been. So with that in mind, they're losing the coaches, so I have a little bit of a doubt, and then they're losing their entire offensive line. So there's some doubt there, but they've earned the benefit of the doubt. I think the only way I take Utah out is if they play their way out. They deserve it. McMurphy came up with his playoff predictions.
He thinks they're going to be in.
Yeah, he's got them and TCU, which I think is an absolute slap in the face to BYU. Because right now, in my mind, there's no way I can put Utah ahead of BYU.
Well, BYU just finished second, and then on top of that, they were in a 4-way tie for first, and on top of that, they've won the game these last 2 years. It's like they've got, over these last couple of years, they got everything.
I can put them even if you want to go that far. I'm comfortable with that, but I can't put them ahead. Just like for a decade, there was no way I would have put BYU ahead of Utah. I think it's flipped a little, not as dramatic because that was for a decade. Here, it's just a little bit. It's not a lot of difference, and we saw it was a 3-point game when they played, and the year before was a 1-point game.
You came up with
not a whole lot of difference.
You came up with a little headline here, cruising around the internet. You got a few stops you make because of places you lived and people you know. And this should get the attention of both Ute and Cougar fans because Arizona State, to the degree they're a sleeping giant, the thing we know is their coach has been out there begging, literally, for big-time money to step up. Not that he doesn't appreciate $50,000 and $100,000 donations, because he does. But when you have to raise the kind of money they have to raise, you need bigger numbers.
Well, because I gave him $15,000. Took it out of my 401k.
You did not.
I have since I've been with Trajan Wealth. That thing's been just exploding.
Nice. Nice, but still not true. Entertaining, but not true.
I do what I can.
I believe that.
Then when they went...
Just tell the people the headline. They're dying here.
I gave them $25 when they won the Rose Bowl.
Okay. I hope they spent it wisely years ago.
But now I don't have a landline, so they can't bug me 5 times a week. He has been begging for money. I've got no problem saying that because it's a fact.
Yeah. And he got it. It worked.
Well,
it worked.
They've got an 8-figure donor that gave them, so they're going to be building this indoor. They don't have an indoor. They have a bubble, but they don't have an indoor. And so Dillingham down at the Phoenix station, which is owned by Bonneville, Ryan Hatch runs that thing, used to be up here. He was on this morning, and they got an 8-figure donor.
So that's something between $10 million and $99 million, people.
Blows away my $25. And he says it'll a full field and a half field, which will be both indoors, and it'll be one of the largest facilities in the country. Now, they need it for reverse because it's so blazing hot for half the season,
right?
All of training camp. And what he wants to do is then on game days, that becomes the tailgating central.
Makes sense.
Because in September and most of October,
nobody wants to be out on the blacktop in a parking lot. Yeah.
It's just too hot.
Yeah, it's way too hot.
November's fine.
Right. Right, but September, you still get 110 in September, don't you?
Absolutely.
Certainly.
September's a summer month.
Certainly get 105. You get 110, yeah. You don't need to be standing on blacktop for 3 hours.
So we'll see, what they can do NIL-wise. But he's rallied people. You got to give it to him, man.
And I think it's a combination of winning, because winning's the biggest piece of the puzzle. But that guy's invested a lot of time doing a lot of media after practice. Here he's driving into the studio to be in studio, and he's invested a lot of time selling it. But if you don't get your story out there, how do you expect people to believe in your story? And social media is nice, and it helps, but I just don't think it's enough of a connection.
No, it has to be one-on-one. He has to have FaceTime, and he's got to interact with the boosters, interact with the fans, make himself available, and he has done that. Young guy, I think he's 35 now? His wife just had a second kid. We'll see how that goes, he manages all that stuff, because it's a time-consuming job for sure. They have an opportunity to put to bed the sleeping giant thing.
They're in a league without USC and Oregon and the advantages they had.
Although now Texas Tech has become SC
might be stepping in there, right?
Yeah.
And he's a local guy. And how were there local ties for any of the other guys who come through, even a little bit?
No.
It was always, this coach was at Miami, this coach was at Michigan and West Virginia. Just.
You're thinking of U of A, but yeah, on Rich Rod.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
No. They were always somebody from the outside.
Has Arizona had a local guy?
Well, I mean, is Ron McBride a local guy?
Over time, you can become that. And I'm trying to think of who was the guy who was there
Dick
when
Tomey.
they had Desert Storm. Dick Tomey. Dick Tomey might have been.
Became a local guy.
Even if he wasn't a local guy, he became one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Became a local guy. And Brennan had some history with Tucson.
So there's something there.
But he didn't play there. I think he was a walk-on receiver at UCLA. But he had at least been there.
Brennan might have eyes for another job, but at ASU it looks like if they give him a chance to compete at the highest level,
well, you know what it's going to be?
Stay.
It's going to be what Kalani did.
Yeah. Give him a chance to compete at the highest level, and he'll stay.
And BYU likes to tell you that he stayed because of all the things they got. And they did, and that was part of it. And he said, but I'm a competitor. Now, the three of us were right there when he said that at that press conference. Go look at there's a shot of him sitting at the table, and you can see my big head in the front row. And
you were sitting on the aisle, so it was easy for you to be in the camera.
Yeah. And so he said, but I'm a competitor, which meant but I'm a competitor. Was that 4 words, 5 words? Help me out.
Depends on if he did the contraction I'm or I am, but it's 4 or 5.
I think he said, but I'm a competitor.
Okay, but I'm a competitor is 4.
They gave me the money I needed to compete
at the highest level. They don't want to compete at the second or third tier.
But it's
especially
interesting
if they're held accountable for the first tier.
It's interesting to see, can they compete at the highest level? Because you heard Kyle and Jay Hill basically say, well, yeah, we can compete at the highest level now. And they essentially said now, which infers that they couldn't. You can compete at the highest level in the Big 12, but is that the highest level?
In the Big 10, you have to say no. Yeah, off the playoff results the Big 10 has over the last couple of years, I guess you can say 3 now, it's like the Big 10 competes at a higher level than the Big 12. They've got 3 straight national champions, and the Big 12 has lost the 2 playoff games they played. So Kalani stayed at the highest level he could be in the Big 12.
And Tech got worked this year.
Yes. ASU was in overtime. But Tech, they got soundly thumped.
That was surprising.
Yeah, they didn't. There was nothing.
But then Cody Campbell says we're going to double down.
Well, I think what came away from that is the defense competed and slugged it out, but the offense had nothing. The offense was overwhelmed. And they couldn't do anything.
It was. So then they go get Sorsby from Cincinnati. Is that good enough?
Is that a good enough upgrade? Especially when they have to replace everything else.
I think it is a good upgrade, but the rest of the team, I mean, you can have the greatest quarterback ever,
Yeah.
But you gotta fill in the blanks here.
But for ASU, and they probably have to go do it again, but they've gone and done it. And you have to, Kansas, I don't know if we put them in the second or third tier. Where would you put Kansas? Third tier was off the top of my head what I was going to say. But
maybe lower second.
But I'd
put TCU in there.
Yeah. Well, TCU and Houston, for
certainly
sure.
Houston.
Yeah. Iowa State maybe keeps it rolling if they made a good hire.
Iowa State, Baylor.
Baylor up and down.
There's a bunch of teams.
I know.
Cincinnati
It gets
got going,
then didn't.
and then they petered.
Yeah.
And what can Rich Rod do at West Virginia? They had for a massive rebuild. They had a couple of moments there.
Mm-hmm. UCF with Frost, right? And Rich Rod, can you go home again? Both those schools have been really good with those coaches, but can you do it the second time around? College football history says it's much harder, but everything's changing so fast, maybe that doesn't matter anymore. Tell me about your NIL.
That's what's great about this conference, to see who's going to join Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm. But I just don't think that you can argue that any of these teams are at that top tier what the Big Ten is.
Not yet, and maybe never.
Time will tell.
But the good thing is that Utah apparently is going to the Big Ten, so it doesn't matter.
There are a lot of U fans who absolutely believe that, and there's some people who work up at the U who believe that.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time.
It hasn't happened yet.
Bring it on.
The time isn't here yet, but we're getting
Ford
closer.
Scally versus Kyle Whittingham, 2029. I'm in for it.
So are a bunch of TV networks. They'll be all over that. All right, DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
One of Adam Silver's biggest problems is that he is not consistent at all, and he sets all these crazy precedents that he doesn't live up to, or he sets a precedent he could never live up to. He can't sit there and manage Will Hardy's lineup.
If you want to say conduct detrimental to the NBA, that could be every single night in the NBA with what happens with rotations or who's available and who's not available that doesn't apply to the player participation policy. The Jazz can rest Yusuf Nurkic all they want. He's not in the player participation policy, but if suddenly the NBA says, well, that's detrimental to the NBA and we're going to fine you anyways, then this opens a can of worms that you can't enforce every night because you can't fine your teams every single night they step on the court.
Because he doesn't care about policy and never has. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Catch Jake and Ben weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The John Watson Northern Utah High School Players of the Week are Ava Smith of Layton Christian and Zach Hancock of Fremont High School. Smith scored 28 points as the Eagles beat Manti in the first round of the playoffs. Hancock had 25 and went over Clearfield, followed by 24 and 8 in the road win at Bonneville. See why new and used car buyers give John Watson Chevrolet more 5-star reviews than any other Chevy dealer in Utah. John Watson Chevrolet, your 5-star Chevy dealer. Scotty G's coming up to talk a little Utah State basketball. They are flying high now, picking up win number 23 last night. He's going to join us in the next segment. Cole Bagley on the Olympics. The U.S. women's hockey team is in the gold medal game later today against their arch rivals from Canada. The men are in the semifinals against Slovakia tomorrow. Meanwhile, PK, the Utah Jazz get back to work tomorrow night. Full tank mode, 26 games to go. Don't take your foot off the gas now. You've got something to gain, maybe something really good, and you got everything to lose, including the pick.
Right.
So whether you give them the old DNP coach's decision or you find an injury, the goal now is to go 6-20 at best in the final 26 games.
I'm big on doubling down. The tanking in general has made a mockery of it, right? I think we understand that, of the competitive nature that sports is supposed to be. Okay, with that in mind, double down on it. You think it's a mockery what we've done? You haven't seen anything. You haven't seen anything yet. We're going to show you. We're going to stick it in your face.
They're going to have to. They've got 5 teams in the league with the worst record. They have the 6th worst record. And they've got like 7 games left against those teams, and there's no telling how many other games against teams that look relatively mediocre, based on who those guys are sitting when the Jazz play them, could be at the same talent level. As we're going to see a lot of guys sit down the stretch.
I want to see Markkanen take hook shots from 3.
Really make a mockery of it.
Yeah, and over at the Delta Center, they're playing as the Jazz have the ball on offense. We're playing Sweet Georgia Brown over the speakers. Whatever that tune is.
We were talking as we were kind of leaving the studio yesterday. You might have actually ducked out with Jake and Ben about the thought of, what about buying Nurkic out and letting him go find a playoff team? Then you don't have to play any games or find anything to do. Just like go find a playoff team, and then the Jazz lineup just becomes smaller, which encourages more guys to drive to the hoop, and you give up more layups and you lose more games.
Well, I don't know.
Need him pulling down 12
I don't
rebounds.
know that teams are dying to get Nurkic.
No, but if somebody needs a backup center who's going to the playoffs and he can sign for, I don't know, whatever the minimum is for 25, 30 games left in the season.
Well, just sit him.
That might happen too.
He's a veteran dude.
DNP coach's decision.
Yeah.
DNP-CD.
Let him go back to Czechoslovakia and race horses or whatever
He's had a couple triple-doubles.
Jokic does.
Harness racing or whatever they call it, yeah.
Yeah. He's way into that.
Jokic.
Jokic is my guy. He just basically flips his nose and his fingers at everybody. Hey, you don't like me? Tough.
He does. He's got a drummer that only he can hear, and that's the beat he marches to.
I have a friend who has a friend is a neighbor of Jokic over in Denver.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And so my friend tells me, his friend tells him, that dude is the most average guy you've ever been around for the level of athlete that
and
he is.
Stardom and wealth and everything.
He said that this guy, you're not going to do it so much in the winter, but when the weather gets better and he takes out the garbage can and you're out there, he'll come up and talk to you.
Awesome.
Just like we all do when the weather gets better. You hardly see your neighbors this time of year unless they come into your home, but you're outside and you go out to water the flower and he's over there. He says, he walks across the street.
It's funny. I met a new neighbor. They just moved in. One of the houses across the street was sold, and they haven't really been around. And I just met him yesterday. I can't imagine if that had been Jokic. Right? That had been Jokic walking down there, He's like, yeah, you haven't been around a lot. I've seen a car come and go once or twice, but the driveway goes up a hill and isn't really accessible from the street to chat with him or anything. He goes, oh, well, yeah, we've been in Dallas. He sold a business. Yeah, well, I've been playing for the Nuggets, so I'm only here part-time. I got to go home because I'm from the other side of the world.
So I think Nurkic is an easy guy to sit.
Markkanen and Keontae George. Two guys who might drop 30 on you.
Easily.
What do you do about them?
And without batting an eyelash.
Offensive end of the floor, those two guys. Defensive end of the floor, the 2 7-footers. Make yourself small. Everybody else we'll see. Although I do wonder a little bit against the quality of competition they're going to be facing here if some of these other guys, Sensabaugh could go off and drop 30. Collier against some of these teams. I get their games are not fully developed and there's still plenty of flaws and all that, but against the competition they're going to face down the stretch, those guys could destroy some of those teams if they're having a good night.
Uh-huh.
All right, DJ and PK, the Jazz will sort that out. They're in Memphis against the Grizzlies tomorrow night, and Ja Morant is out at least 2 more weeks before he's reevaluated. And Memphis has obviously traded Jaren Jackson Jr., so how good a team is Memphis rolling out there? They're 13 games under 500 and well below the line even for a play-in spot. So they got nothing to play for here. That's a totally winnable game for the Jazz tomorrow. DJ and PK, when we come back, Scotty G in studio. The Aggies are flying. We will get to that next. Stay with us.